Now, if you've already tackled direct object pronouns, the its and the thems, and you've got a handle on indirect object pronouns like to me or to him, well, you're ready for the next level. We're mastering combined object pronouns. So think of today as a sort of language makeover. We're going to take those repetitive, kind of clunky sentences and transform them into sleek, native-sounding Italian. For example, saying, porto il libro a Luca, I am bringing the book to Luca, is technically fine. It's grammatically correct. But repeating all those nouns in a fast-paced conversation, it just gets heavy. What a native speaker actually says is, glielo porto. I bring it to him. It's beautiful, it's concise, and it's just incredibly sleek. Okay, here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with the secret to fluent Italian, break down the actual anatomy of these combined pronouns, run through a step-by-step makeover, tackle the past tense, and finally lock down the rules for exactly where these pronouns go. All right, part 1, the secret to fluent Italian and why native speakers use these constantly. The absolute biggest takeaway here is that swapping out repetitive nouns for one indirect and one direct pronoun makes your speech instantly smoother. I mean, think about how we speak naturally in English. We don't endlessly restate the subject and the object of our sentences once everybody knows what we're talking about, right? We use shortcuts. Well, Italian does the exact same thing, just with a really specific, beautiful rhythm. Let's picture a scenario. Someone asks you, la nonna ti preparava la colazione? Did grandma make you breakfast? You're not going to repeat breakfast and for me every single time you answer. You definitely wouldn't say, yes, grandma prepared the breakfast for me every morning. Instead, you'd elegantly say, sì, me la preparava ogni mattina. Yes, she prepared it for me. Boom. It's an instant shortcut to sounding so much more fluent. Moving right along to section 2, let's look at the anatomy of these pronouns and some pretty cool shape-shifting rules. When you start combining these, it's basically like a giant puzzle. You've got your indirect pronouns like me, ti, chi, and vi on one side. Then you match them up with your direct pronouns like lo, la, li, and le. When they intersect, that's where the magic happens. But, and this is a big but, they don't just sit next to each other completely unaltered. Notice how the indirect pronouns subtly shapeshift. When me, te, chi, or vi team up with a direct pronoun, they actually change their ending vowel from an I to an E. So me becomes me, and so on. If you want to say it to me, it turns into melo, not milo. But absolutely crucial to remember, they stay as two completely separate words. Okay, but here is the rule breaker you really need to watch out for. The pronouns glieli, meaning to him or to them, and le, meaning to her, behave totally differently. They actually physically merge with the direct pronoun. They transform into glie and attach directly to form one single unified word. I plus lo becomes glielo, all one word. Same goes for gliela, glieli, gliele. It's a fascinating little quirk that you just have to memorize. Now for the really fun part, section 3. Let's do a step-by-step makeover using a real-world scenario with Marco, Luca, and a book. So imagine Marco is helping his buddy Luca move, and Luca asks Marco to bring him a book. Marco's basic beginner-level sentence is porto il libro a Luca. Let's upgrade this. Step 1. We swap the direct object, il libro, for lo, which gives us lo porto a Luca. Step 2. Swap the indirect object, a Luca, for li, making it glielo porto. Now, for the grand finale, we combine them using our shape-shifting rules. Lo and li merge together into the perfect single word, yellow. And the result? Yellow porto. I bring it to him. Flawless. Let's see this in action with another super common scenario. Say someone asks you for photos. Ci mandi le foto. Are you sending us the pictures? You can smoothly transform your response to dodge that clunky repetition. You say, certo, ve le mando dopo cena. Of course, I'll send them to you after dinner. See that? V changed to ve, le stayed le. And they sit right there as two separate words. Ve le mando. Let's move into section 4, mastering the past tense, where things get just a little bit more sophisticated. Now here is where it gets really interesting. Listen closely to the word for bought. Comprato versus comprata. When you use a combined pronoun in the past tense, the past particle actually has to agree in gender and number with the direct object pronoun. Because we are replacing la pizza, which is feminine singular, with la, the ending of our verb has to change to an a. Gliel'ho comprata. And you're also going to need this really elegant shortening trick. When your combined pronouns contain the singular lo or la, Italian often shortens them with an apostrophe right before forms of the verb avere. So, yellow o comprado gets squeezed into yellow comprato. But, and seriously, don't forget this, never ever drop the vowel for the plural li and le. If you sent the documents, which are plural, you say glielio mandati. That E stays exactly where it is, no exceptions. Almost at the finish line, section 5. We've got our perfectly formed combined pronouns, so where exactly do we park them in a sentence? Well, the standard foundation is actually really simple. Just like single object pronouns, these combined pairs generally sit nicely right before the verb. For instance, if you want to say, I'll explain it to you later, you say, te lo spiego dopo. The verb is spiego, and te lo sits proudly right in front of it. Easy enough, right? But hey, it's a language, so of course there's a fun variation. When modal verbs show up, words like volere to want, dovere to have to, or potere to be able to, you actually have two equally correct, highly flexible options. You can place the combined pronoun right before the modal verb, as in te lo voglio spiegare. Or you can physically attach it to the tail end of the infinitive verb, just dropping the final E of the infinitive. Voglio spiegartelo. Both are used all the time, so honestly, just pick the one that rolls off your tongue the easiest. All right, to wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with one final makeover challenge to test out everything we've just covered. If someone asks you, porti la pizza a Marco, how would you flawlessly translate the reply, yes, I'm bringing it to him tonight? Think about your direct object. Think about your indirect object. How do those specific two combine?